Why do wardens call their dogs Frost? Well, because Frost bites. What's going on, YouTube? It is Tuesday, which means we have our weekly vendor refresh. These bad boys are available for a 7-day period, so you have until next Tuesday at 10 a.m. to get these bad man pajamas. Restart with Filer Ul, who's got gold on his desk that you can take free profit. And restart with a bit of an interesting one. Restart with the Ancestors Samite Sash, which is certainly unique, but it does come from an annoying place. Daily reward coffers. The daily reward coffers know when you want to get that item. So overall, it can be pretty annoying to get it. Is Crypt Cannons worth it? It does see some play in some ball groups, because you can give your ultimate to other people, and having minor heroism at all time is decent, but you can get minor heroism at all times, and with the new subclassing, you're going to be able to build ultimate significantly easier, so I just don't see this mythic being as good. The next one for also 5,000 is also one that's really not that complicated. Drops from fishing in any water in Galen or High Isle. So overall, that also is a pretty easy criteria to meet. Now, a lot of people have mixed opinions on Syra's Bane's Ward, which I've probably mispronounced already. You cannot move while bracing. While bracing, you create a 12-meter zone of protection. Group members within that zone increase the amount of damage they can block by 30% and their health recovery by 950. It's very weird. The utilization is very obtuse, like a triangle, I guess, and unfortunately, doesn't see a whole lot of use. So you could pretty much easily skip this one as well. Next up is Salastrix Mask. Now, this one is interesting because it is a bound mask that you can buy to save yourself some money. You'd be saving yourself about 1 to 1.6 million gold. The prices on these bad boys are pretty stable because this one has been out for a long time. This graph makes it look unstable, but we're fluctuating at the highest at about 2.6. Oh, the lowest, we actually had a huge drop off to 300,000. So, being in the million range is probably about fair for where this is going to be. You could tell pretty much when everybody was able to farm this bad boy, and then people were buying it up. It'll probably retain some of its value. It'll probably go back up to about 2.5-ish when, people haven't been able to farm it for a while. If you want to use your archival fortunes on it to have, a bound mask, it's an okay investment, but one that's not exceptionally exciting. Next up, we have our Praxis. So you get yourself a nice looking bookcase with a little thing on top, some extra books in a backpack. Love that. Some grapes and a floral plate. Now again, everybody's going to be able to buy these, which is a bit problematic because then everybody's going to have them. So in a situation like that, only profit you're going to make, because again, these are buying on pickup, is if you were to try to resell the actual made items. It's very hard to do that, so I would generally discourage you from doing that. I would also discourage you from Cyrodiil treasure maps. They're just not very good. I hope they get buffed in the future, because if you're going to the hardest zone to pick up treasure chests, you should get some really good rewards for doing so, but you really don't. At light armor is also one that's a guaranteed. You could skip a Rooski. In my opinion, yes, you could go for some healing armor, blah, blah, blah. I just don't think it's worth the gamble compared to the prices of getting a healer, pieces of armor. Then we have a deck piece, which is found in Delves, which is also an easy skip. Don't buy something that you can pick up in a Delve. Then we have a Feast Among the Dead Chapter 2, more of a Chapter 1 enjoyer myself. Sequels just aren't as good these days. And then we have, oh my goodness, Biz Nensol, our Ancient Roots. The comments have already told me, why don't you know how to say that, Jake? It comes from the Latin derivative of bicinals. So, unfortunately, it's butchered. Let's move on. Next up, we have Cowardice, Lifesteal, Restore Resources, Immobilizing Strike. These are okay. I am a huge fan of Restore Resources for PvP because you can just have all, unlimited resources, and then you don't have to run sets like Wretched Vitality. But I wouldn't necessarily encourage you to buy these. Cowardice is not something you want to purchase. It just happens naturally. Lifesteal, no. And then Immobilizing Strike, yeah, it can be decent to immobilize somebody, but it doesn't see that much utilization. So these are all easy skipperooskies, except maybe Restore Resources if you're desperate for a PvP sustain build. and you never do any daily quests. Besides that, you can skip past these. And then we finish on our trophies. We have the archival enigmas, which you can get already through the archival fortunes. You can, if you want to buy these to get the face art, be my guest, 99% of you will never even consider that. And then we have the Sigil Globe, which you can literally purchase on the ESO open market because it drops from a public dungeon. Never buy these. They're probably worth like 10,000 gold right now. So easy skip. Next up, inside the Scholarium, inside of Ivea, you can get yourself some interesting scripts this week. We have Berserk, Mangle, Frost Damage, Anchorite's Cruelty, Class Mastery, which is static. Now, these are all purchasable with gold. However, if you don't have these already unlocked, they are significantly more expensive, but it is just gold. Starting off, Berserk and Mangle, I wouldn't worry about those two. Frost Damage, if you ever see yourself, especially with subclassing, going, I really want to make a frosty build, I want to freeze my opponents, I would get this. You're probably going to use it in the future. Same with Anchorite's Cruelty. I'm a huge fan of Anchorite's Cruelty. I think it's a good one. It is expensive, so if you find yourself doing daily quests a whole bunch, don't worry about it. Same with Frost Damage. Some people are really unlucky about getting certain things. So again, these are with gold. So sometimes, and I did this, I bought all of the scripts that I didn't have, and I still did daily quests just because I was like, when you sell one of them back, you get 1,000 gold. So it's a good investment that way. If I'm theory crafting one day, I don't want to have to wait to either find it here or to have to get it with a premium currency or have to farm a daily quest for it. So overall, those are my thoughts when it comes to the Scholarium. I generally buy all of these, but it's ESO's game resources. If you don't have a ton of gold, you might want to be a little bit more picky with what you do. And in that case, just farm some daily quests and you'll be hunky-dory. And finally, we're inside the Lambient Passage, inside the Imperial City. If you're ever confused about where to go for any of these bad boys, use our website linked below. Where we start off with some TLDR items. We start off with Imperial Physique. Now, Imperial Physique is very simple. It gives you more stats based on how many TLDR you have. So you can make yourself into an absolute berserker tank with tons of resources. The downside is that if you die, you had to be carrying a bunch of TLDR on you to get this effect, making it a little bit risky. So this is actually one of those sets that's really good for both PvP and PvE because you're just giving yourself health, magicka, and stamina, and you can get, up to 600% extra of that 1032 resource for all of them. So it's fantastic. However, and it's a staple of farming in the Imperial City, but it does have some risks. All that to say, it is a 10 out of 10 set. It's not worth 100,000 TLDR stones. Even if you were to convert TLDR stones using some of the riskiest methods or the stupidest methods, you're going to make tons of more gold. Maybe if you had 100k TLDR and you don't want to join a guild trader, yes, you could buy one of these. I also do like whenever they give you the option to get it with the different, arcane, robust, or healthy traits. I just find that really helpful. So this is a 10 out of 10 set. It's not something that I would encourage you to purchase with 100k TLDR, but I do love this set. That's everything about it. 10 out of 10. Probably not in your consideration. Yes, if you had 100k TLDR, maybe it's easy to sell just one item versus, like 10 of them, but you're losing massive profits by doing that. Next up, we have Shell Splitter. Not Splinter. You guys already started to type the comments. When an enemy blocks one of your attacks, increase your offensive penetration by 631 for 5 seconds. This effect can stack up to 20 times, and you can gain 1 stack every half second. This is a perfectly serviceable set. The problem with PvP sets like this is that there are just better sets. So this is like easily a 7 or 8 out of 10 PvP set, right? Because you can easily build tons of penetration. Here's the problem. There are so many good PvP sets. If you were like, Jake, Shell Splitter is great. Yeah, it is great. It's like an 8 out of 10. But the problem is like, why wouldn't you use a 9 out of 10 set? Why wouldn't you use a 10 out of 10 set? So yes, it definitely does push the boundary for almost being a very good set. The problem is it doesn't. And this is a very shield-focused meta. Subclassing I don't know if it's going to be more shield-focused or the nerfs and changes, things like Hardened Ward, where we see less shields. If we see less shields, this is going to slide even further into obscurity, because you might see a meta that's built more on armor resistances and minor toughness and all sorts of other gobbledygook. So overall, I wouldn't suggest using this set, even though it has some great utilization. I will tell you, though, that this one, the Velothi Mage's Amulet, yes, I know, the pronunciations. We are where we are. This one's very annoying. It comes from Scrivener's Hall, but only the trophy room chests. Now, whenever you have to gamble on something like that, it's just exceptionally annoying. This is a unique mythic. It adds offensive penetration, increases your damage done by monsters by 50%, minor force, increase your critical damage done, but it reduces your light and heavy attack damage by 99%. So it's like the opposite of a light and heavy attack build. You can still get some amazing builds of this. I wouldn't say this is like a 10 out of 10 mythic, maybe more of a 9 out of 10. I'm trying to predict too, like how are subclassing going to affect some of these things. But for 25k TLDR, you could be saving yourself probably on average between 3 and 6 Scrivener's Hall runs because you got to get keys. The odds of you getting it probably are between 3 and 6. Yes, you could get it in 1. Yes, you could get it in 10. So would you rather spend 25k TLDR or would you rather run, an annoying dungeon? It's kind of fast though, to be honest. 3 to 6 times. It's up to you. Obviously, there's more benefits to doing that dungeon on Veteran, I believe, anyway, because I think you get more keys if I'm not mistaken. But overall, one that I would definitely consider purchasing. But thankfully, you don't have to be in such a quandary for this one because it literally just comes from a world boss, and not a hard one either. So thankfully, this one is significantly easier. It gives you the Storm Weaver's Cavort, which basically just makes it to where Magicka is your new primary resource for sprinting and roll dodging, blah, 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 blah. There's a couple of really finagly ways that you can use this mythic. Its best utilization is probably like an overland farming set because there are ways you can build it to basically have infinite sprint. But if infinite sprint is the best utilization you can get out of a mythic, it's probably one that you don't really need. Next up, we have the funny treasure maps that I always pronounce incorrectly, so I'm not even going to say for this video. It's the AURIDON maps. So there you go. Suck it, nerds. I'm not going to say it. And we have the rings of the sets we talked about above. They're about equal to the necklaces anyway. We have Empower, Pull, War Mage's Defense. War Mage's Defense definitely does see some utilization for PvP. Getting any sort of, taking less damage is always helpful. Pulling people, decently helpful too. Empower is fine. I wouldn't buy any of these with Telvar though. Do your daily quests. If you're a PvP and you're like, Jake, I hate daily quests, do your daily Cyrodiil ones then. Scout, kill people. You can do that. You'll be fine. So thankfully, even if you're just a PvPer, which are usually the market of people who need scripts because they want to use them against other players, but yet simultaneously they don't do daily quests, just please do your Cyrodiil daily quests. Next up is Fragment of the Martyr, which might sound like it's really difficult to get, but it's actually the easiest one. Now, this is what it does. You can see how cool that looks. But Fragment of the Martyr comes from a Delve boss. So unfortunately, you could be getting a cool fragment that would save you from having to farm a trial. But which has 100% drop rate, this fragment is from a Delve. So probably not worth the Telvar. But this does look dope. But if you were to purchase this for some reason or go farm it, you're going to have to go do all these other things to actually get this unlocked. So overall, it's cool, but definitely not worth it in my opinion. And so the quick TLDR for this video is definitely get Frost Magic. If you ever see yourself using Frost Magic for any reason, get the script. Because for me, I wanted to use the flame damage one. It took me for freaking ever to find it because the game knew that I wanted it, didn't give it to me. So if you see that on your horizon, get it. Also, get the gold clasps if you see yourself ever using the Velothi Mythic because it could also be really annoying to get it if you ever need it in the future. It is the opposite of the light and the heavy attacking, but it is still a very good mythic. You just have to use your skills versus light and heavy attacking. Or if you want to make the overland content harder, only light and heavy attack because it'll be 99% less damage. Some other good things like Restore Resources are neat. And then we also had Imperial Physique, which is a 10 out of 10 set, but I would generally say not worth it, even if you do have 100k Telvar, because yes, you could sell it, and it's always easier to sell one item. You could go to Zone Chat to try to sell it, but there's just so many better ways to convert your Telvar to gold if that interests you, and if you're trying to actually make a good, set with Telvar, you probably are not going to want to just buy it outright for Telvar. You could spend your gold to buy a cheaper version of it on the market, and then upgrade it with gold and then your resources. So thank you guys so much again for watching. That's the wrap up for this video. We're doing our 3 giveaway drawings. All you need to do is leave a comment and a like on the video. Second thing is just make sure you're subscribed. We're less than 300 subs away from 30k, which is crazy. So please hit the subscribe button. And the third thing is look for a hidden word be flashed upon the screen. If you're the first person to find and comment that word, you will win. There's one hidden word per week. It will be released this week. It's not on this video. So thank you guys so much again for watching, and I'll catch you later. Bye, guys.
You better remember to like and subscribe to Jakeclips. Or you should. I might have to pluck your eyes if you don't. Or, better yet, I'll skip rope with your entrails. Do it now. Subscribe. Ta-ta. Off with you.